I think probably a young David Carle, culture builder who can kind of relate. David Carle, who's from that part of the hemisphere. David Carle.
I did want to ask you about some of the coach firings that happened over the weekend. Peter Laviolette out, Greg Cronin fired. I guess we'll start with Greg Cronin. What kind of coach do the Anaheim Ducks need now that Greg Cronin's out?
I think probably a young David Carle, culture builder who can kind of relate. David Carle, who's from that part of the hemisphere. David Carle, and can kind of build his own program, give him some runway. David Carle, and it has really good owners who don't meddle like Anaheim has, and a GM like Pat Verbeek. It's just him. So it would be Pat Verbeek and it would be David Carle together. Kind of old school, new school. Although David Carle is kind of old school killer. He's like very competitive. He fueled a little bit on anger, which I like in my athletes and coaches. I like a little anger in my sport spectating. So
Well,
I think
John
someone
Tortorella
like
is available.
he's available. Torch is available.
Experience being in the same organization as Cutter Gauthier.
That's right.
There's some that could work.
Yep, that'd be perfect. But I do think David Carl would be a great hire there. I think it'd be a good spot for him, and I think that kind of guy who can kind of grow with this team and get them to And I think Verbeek will be aggressive in free agency. He tried to sign Stamkos and Marchessault last year, so it's not like he's got cap space. He'll try. His owners are very supportive, so I'm pretty bullish on Anaheim, and I think Carl would be a good fit there.
So my two questions there were, will the Ducks pay for him? And I think that you think that they would. And the other one is that the best spot for him? Because at some point I'm like, dude, just fucking go to Chicago. They stink, but they have a lot of good young players. And if you're a good coach, they're going to be better with you.
Yep, and they're building from the goaltending out, which is good. They're going to have a really strong defensive core. They're very young, so might take a bit. Spencer Knight, if he's the real deal for the next 5-7 years, they have a goalie, and now they just have to accumulate forwards. And you can usually do that through free agency. Like I said, Ehlers is like a real player they could instantly plug in. I don't know if they're going to throw 15, 16 million at Marner. Marner's going to get huge offers from all these desperate teams who are like a Mitch Marner away, whether it's Chicago or I don't know if Philly will be on him. Maybe not.
Utah.
Maybe not. Utah, Anaheim, and the Bruins, like anybody. It's pretty much he can pick his spot, which is what free agency is for. And these players who sometimes don't know what to do, go where you want to play. You got to know where you want to play. You got to know where you want to live and what would be a cool situation. I could play with Pastrnak, or I could play with Bedard, or I could maybe go here. I could go here. I go to San Jose, play with Celebrini, and be a part of that rising team. Or do I want to win a cup now? So do I go to a real kind of more ready-medi, I'm sleep deprived team, like maybe the Bruins with a couple moves because they have Swayman, McAvoy, Pastrnak, maybe a little bit older. Maybe they could possibly be a candidate quicker than a Buffalo or an Anaheim or Chicago would. So I guess I'm not sure what Mitch is thinking in those terms.
Well, I mean, to David Carle, like this has to be the summer where he makes the jump, right? Because there's so many attractive options, whether like depending on what you're looking for. Like if you're looking for a young team that needs him, like the Anaheim Ducks is a great fit. But if you're looking for a market and you're looking for a team that can pay out, like you've got a bunch of original six, the Blackhawks being one of them, the Bruins, the Rangers now, and then like the Flyers you mentioned being an option, like they can pay. So like this has to be the summer, right?
I agree. I think he'll get 5 years. I think he'll get, I don't know if he'll get $5 million, but I think he might get 4 to 4.5. I mean, $20 million guaranteed. And people say, yeah, he's got a great job in Denver. And they make like $700,000-800,000, which is a great salary. But man,
I take it.
Yeah, $20 million is life changing, and plus it's the NHL and it's the best hockey league in the world. And eventually he wants to work in the best hockey league in the world. He's, you never know if Denver gets in a dry spell and a couple of these guys don't work out and get some injuries and suddenly you're not in the tournament for a couple of years and you haven't won a national championship for 5 years. And yeah, I think he understands. I think it's ambition, but I also think he realized business-wise for his family, this is the time to strike. And I do think
where do you think he picks?
I don't know in terms of him well enough. I know him decently, but not how his brain is thinking geographically, or if is he trying to think strategically what team really has the best chance to win so I can, I get my second contract, because that's the key. You want to have actually a career and not be one and done and move around. Like really have a team like Cooper. People like, I want to be a place like for 10, 15 years and be a part of a team's history, obviously win a championship. So yeah, I think we talk, it's either, is it Anaheim or Chicago, or like you said, you go one level up of Philly, and will they get enough stuff to be a candidate in the East when Montreal's really seem like they're going north fast? And Toronto, if they keep Marner somehow, they're going to be the team probably for 5 years. Panthers have still got a 3 to 5 year window because those guys are late 20s. So maybe Anaheim out in the West might be a better spot, So I think he'll think in those terms, and obviously contract terms. But I at first, Chicago was like the default answer all year long. But as you've seen Anaheim come here, and some of his defensemen kind of prosper in the forwards, it's like, geez, maybe that's the spot for him now. And plus a market that's not real, that's kind of chill, right? You don't have to worry about a lot of media pressure there. So that might be not a bad place to enter the NHL. Dave Haxtell went to Philly. That might be tougher. David Quinn went to New York City. Like maybe Anaheim might be the smart play because, Chicago, they'll be a little more, they're still kind of cuddly compared to those other places, and they're starting at the bottom. So his only way to go is up, and they will get better. And so certainly, I think it comes down to Chicago or Anaheim. I think that'd be the place to go because I think they're the more desperate, and they would give him the term and the money he's looking for. But like you said, other teams could too. Everyone's got the money. These owners are billionaires now, so they have the money.
What do you think the Rangers do? And does Laviolette coach in the NHL next year?
That's a tough one. I don't think a fan base probably wouldn't get excited, right, if they hired him. Not that that's not why you hire.
Oh,
coaches.
Dude, I did the okay. Well, obviously he's come.
Bruin meme.
Yeah,
and people got so mad, and I was like, that's why I do this.
Yeah.
But like Providence Bruins coach, like the history is there, and the Bruins where they are right now. I hate to say it, but like I'll stick with the Boston reference. They're at the point in their run where like you make the Bobby Valentine coaching hire, and you're like, oh God.
And like if you're Don Sweeney and you're Cam Neely, and you know that you're on the hot seat, which they definitely are you going to take a chance on hiring a David Carle when you don't know what he's going to be as an NHL head coach? I think that would be a good move for the Bruins, but I don't think it would be a good move for Sweeney and Neely for job security.
I agree. Or David Carle, because as well.
He wouldn't pick them, I feel.
Right. And I think I've talked about this. Like, if Mike Tomlin ever gets fired, the GM of the Steelers is not going to fire Mike Tomlin. The owner will, right? Like that's so. I think David Carle should create a relationship with the owner if he can, and if that's Anaheim or if that's Chicago. And I just think if he had dinner with the Anaheim owners and Verbeek, I think they would love him. And they would be all in, and I think it would actually raise the price. Like it would convince them to pay the price he's looking for. And I don't know if he's met Pat Verbeek or ever talked to him yet, but I think Beaker would like him. Knowing Pat, I worked with Pat at NHL Tonight years ago. I've known him for a long time. They would like him a lot, and he's very impressive at a dinner table when you have dinner with him because he has ideas, he has thoughts, he has fire, and of course he got the resume. And he's a fresh face, and there's all that there. It's almost like you almost have, when you hire him, you almost have those expansion team vibes, right? Like Utah, when everything's fresh and it smells good. It doesn't smell like a Radisson in Winnipeg. It smells good. It smells like that new Hilton Garden Inn, like in Franklin, Mass. Something like it smells like that. That's a better smell. And David Carle he's like a Yankee Candle of coaches right now who's out there. Peter Laviolette, not so much a Yankee Candle.
I will say,
maybe
Radisson Winnipeg taking some crazy strays right now. But
they deserve it. They flat out deserve it.
Well, damn.
Peter Laviolette is more like right guard. My dad's right guard. Good smell, solid smell, but it's right guard.
Let me throw out an option for the New York Rangers. What do you think about Joel Quenneville making its NHL return to the New York Rangers?
I think he's ready. He wants to coach. Actually, I had lunch with him a couple months ago, and he's got a fire. And I think now that Stan Bowman's back in the league, he's been in the league now for a full year. I think certainly he's. I assume the league has an answer like it's okay to hire him now, and so I kind of like that. I think where New York is, where Boston is in terms of age and core and what they're trying to do We're not tanking yet, but we still want to win a cup somehow if we can figure it out. And we'll see how this year. Like if Washington were to win the cup this year, right? That would make all those teams like, we can do that. Where if it's Toronto with their mega superstars, or if it's Florida again, or even Tampa, maybe those teams wouldn't have as much confidence. But if somehow Washington was able to kind of rebuild on the fly here and suddenly, bam, go win a cup because of a couple advantageous older guys, retiring or having their contract disappear, like Kuznetsov, and then making the right trade and having a young guy pop unexpectedly, Protus, McMichael. Oh, they're a little better than we thought they were at this point. So I wonder if all those teams will be more into it if a team like the Caps wins.
This is an uncomfortable question, but do you think that Bowman being back in the league and Quenneville potentially coming back, do you feel that enough people have read the report enough to not have the reaction that they would have initially had when the Kyle Beach story first came out, and that it, not to take blame off anybody, but the record has been corrected in terms of there was not a letter of recommendation written, and that they brought it to, and that they kicked it up the stairs instead of kicking it to HR and everything. And it was obviously horrible, and I thought they all should have lost their jobs for it. But do you think that the proper reading has kind of been done, and that the story is maybe better understood now than it once was?
I do. I think that's a good point. I think those things are important, and when you're and all those decisions, are in the moment, and what was the front office and the president and the vice presidents, how much power they really did have then, and how they did things not related to that made you think, okay, I guess they're going to take care of it, whatever it is. I don't know. And so it's just so hard to interpret nuance when it comes to the past that long ago, and then emotions, and then hierarchy, and then who's your boss? What's my role? I'm a peasant. What am I supposed to do here? What do I have the power to do? And so it all stinks in the end, obviously. But I do believe there's enough there where these guys are going to get, obviously Bowman's back in the game, and if someone wants to hire Quenneville, and I think they will, and I think it'll be okay now for them to do.
We all silly like the mayor.